This is eBook Showtime, connecting readers with authors by promoting ebooks and the personalities that write them. Today's guest author has over 30 years experience as a travel writer, during which time he's been a rupee millionaire, played golf with the Maharaja and was given the death penalty in Malaysia. The Sunday Tribune described his first book as a diary that really works. He's penned travel guides, memoirs and children's books. And when I asked him how many books he's written, he said he didn't know. His memoirs have received international press acclaim, often making the Kindle Top 100 list. And his awards include the prestigious Awesome Indies Assessor's Seal of Excellence for his book Rupee Millionaires. Here to talk to us now is Frank Kusy. Frank, your career in writing seems to have had a couple of starts. Kevin and I in India was first published in 1986. And then more recently came Rupee Millionaires. What made you take up the memoir pen again after 27 years?
Good question, Graham. Rupee Millionaires started out as a book of just funny stories about doing business in India, but it took on a much darker tone and became more a memoir when my mother died on my wedding day, about 5 hours before the wedding, and that sort of had some major traumatic effect on me. I actually stopped writing. I'll backtrack a second. After Kevin and I in India, I got offered a contract by Cadogan Books to write a series of travel books around Southeast Asia and in India. So I did that from 1987 through to 1995 when my mum died. And I was pretty much occupied writing travel guides for those 8 years. The memoir thing, well, I went for a very, very bad patch after my mother died. I'm putting a book out about it now in about 6 weeks called The Reckless Years, which details what actually happened after my mum's death. My wife and I sort of slid into a very dark patch of drink, drugs and depression. So I didn't write a word from 1996 through to 2008 or 9. A very long writing break. I was doing a lot of business, wholesaling jewellery and handicrafts in India, making lots of money, but I wasn't being creative at all. And that wasn't making me happy because my real love was writing. Always has been since I was about 6, 7. I think my first book was called Jessie the Cat. I think my mum liked it. So it's been a long, tortuous trip, really. But when I think the memoirs, I always thought, oh look, it's turned up. It's Sparky. This is a little chap that rescued me, actually. Here's Sparky. Here's Mr. Uncle Graham and all the up there. This little chap rescued me from my literary desert. I got him in 2008. No, not 2009. And when he arrived, I started writing again. And the first thing I penned was a book called Sparky the Very Nervous Cat, which became Ginger the Gangster Cat. Because we lost him after 6 months. He was missing for 3 days. And when we found him again, we wondered what would have happened to him if we hadn't found him. Oh yes, he'd been catnapped by a large ginger Fagin of the cat world called Ginger, and he had been taken to Barcelona to beg tapas treats as opposed to Pussy Oliver. So he got me writing again after this long, long period of nothing. And he's the cutest cat in the universe, not you, Sparky? Yes, you are. He's a good boy. In a second. So yes, Brian, that's why it's been a sort of a up and down journey for me writing-wise. As you know, the digital age has changed everything in writing for us authors. It used to be sort of fairly easy to get mainstream published, but it's all changed in the late 90s. So we're all ebooks now. That's where the new market is. And we'd really like it if you extended this program out to other writers, or ebook writers rather. So something like the Sky Arts book show, which I know you're a fan of, and my wife was too, could extend out to ebook writers. Yeah. that's that.
All right, well, you, with Kevin and I in India as your first book, your subsequent books don't follow on in chronological order, do they?
No, they don't. I was told off about that. No, Rupee Linears was going to be the last one. That took 22 years to write, would you believe? All the rest have taken about 6 months. So, yeah, Rupee Millionaires was going to be made into a film. It had an agent behind it. It was well represented. But the problem was the main character, Spud, who was my ex-business partner, surfaced after 15 years of me thinking him dead and started gunning for me. And then when he found the book on Amazon, he went completely bonkers. So, yeah, so I mean, it got to quite, if it would have been published, mainstream published, we'd have been in trouble. And I think the publishers sensed that beforehand, so they were leery about taking it on. After that, I wrote a book called Off the Beaten Track, My Crazy Year in Asia. When I was 35, I did a guidebook on my travel through Thailand, India, Malaysia, Sumatra, and that was the craziest year of my life. I was actually in a, well, it's a book for young men, should we say. Yeah, I won't go into that one too much. More recently, I've done a book called Too Young to Be Old, which is how I first got into travel writing and first got to go to India. That was about working in an old people's home, running an old people's home, and getting into Buddhism.
And we just have a photograph of you and Matron.
Oh yeah.
We're showing just now. Yeah.
Okay. I was 27 then. I was scared shitless of working in this place, and there were crazy people in there. The boss of the outfit was throwing furniture around and shouting and trying to sack people all the time. The mate was hysterical, dressed in pink, was like a Barbara Cartland figure. No, more like Patricia Routledge. Yeah, and the old people weren't being looked after very well. But one of them escaped to a kibbutz in Israel, and I had to follow him out there because it's so Sparky. Sparky came back again. He has to be held. He thinks we're talking about him. Because there's no telephone. Well, there was one telephone to somebody, a fax machine to somebody in Jerusalem, whereby I could track down this old gentleman. He decided to abscond from the home and go to Jerusalem because I told him how much fun the kibbutz was. So it was all my fault. And I had to go over there on my own on a weekend to get him back. And he said, "What are you doing with us old farts, Frank? You should be out there seeing some of the world. Get out of here where you can." And as it turned out, the country that came up was India, because I'd just become a Buddhist. I wanted to see what it all started out. And so I went to India and I met Kevin at the airport. And once I got used to the idea of him being a 6-day Adventist boat builder from Lowestoft, and he got used to the idea of me being an astrologer Buddhist. We took digs together in Delhi, and this great adventure began. The funny thing about Kevin, and I can never reproduce this to anybody else, is the fact that he was allergic to India, so that everything attacked him, like dogs, monkeys, mosquitoes, mendicants, even holy men attacked Kevin all the time for no reason. And he just spent the whole trip being like persecuted. Yes.
Now, Frank, this is your latest book, Dial and Talk Foreign at Once. That's a good title, but where on earth did it come from?
Well, I had that title for a while. This book was written from a very scrappy 78-page travel diary that I wrote. It was my first trip as a travel writer out in India. I had no clue what I was doing. I had this contract from Cadogan Books to go out and write a book for middle-of-the-road travellers. And I went out there on day one. I was told there weren't any. There's people out there either lived 5-star or on the baseline like hippies. So I was doomed from the start. But I found this sign out there. It's in a desert town called Pushkar, and it said International Frank Phone Service. It's like a call for this place. International Frank Phone Service. Dial and talk foreign at once. And then under that, take famous Vadel ice cream. And I thought, it's just a weird sign. So I photographed that. That's on the title page of the book. It's a running joke between my wife and I. The phone rings and they say, dial and talk foreign at once. So yeah, that's how that came to be. But India's full of very amusing signs, like a chicken wrapped with bacon. It's called warped chicken raked with bacon.
So would you say that travel in Asia has changed very much over the past 30 years?
That's a good question, Graham. It's got a lot easier. A lot more women are travelling out there on their own than they used to. In the 80s, they weren't even allowed in hotels by a lot of, especially Muslim hotel owners. They weren't wearing the right clothes, they weren't covering up, they weren't had no cars, what they do walking on the streets without a man, that kind of thing. So, but even in the 80s, I mean, as you probably read, I did sort of meet some women travelling on their own. That's one of the things. The transport's much better. The country's much cleaner. It's a huge clean-up act. Even the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, did a street cleaning program, and he had to throw him out and clean the streets himself. But the main thing to clean up India was a plague in 1996, whereby there was a couple of plague victims in Gujarat, and it panicked Delhi so much, and Bombay, they cleaned away about 30 years of rubbish in that 6 weeks. It suddenly transformed it, and then they took away, they shoved all the diesel rickshaws off the cliff or over the side of the road. Just all the diesel went. So it's a much cleaner place to be now, much more pleasant. I guess it's less rough and ready, so if you want to get off the beaten track, you can still do that. India's huge. You know, I've been there 52 times and I've not seen that. I've seen more than half of it. And well, whatever. It's got to be the friendliest place on the planet to go. I've never had any trouble with 52 trips and 35 years of going out there. It's bonkers, but it's fun.
Right then, Frank, how on earth did you get the death penalty? And more to the point, how did you get out of it?
This is also off the beaten track. I was on 2 tours around Thailand, north and south, with a company called Trailfinders. And the tour leader, Steve, was a very naughty boy. He got me into a lot of trouble. I then got bombed to death in a town called Trat because he wanted to open up for tourists. But the best one was when we got to the Malaysian border, and we had a group of about 20 people, and I was asleep in the back seat. And instead of getting me off the bus to get my passport stamped into Malaysia, he let me sleep on. So when I came out of Malaysia on my own, without the group, a month later, trying to get out, I stopped at the border and said, "Where's my passport stamp?" And I said, "I haven't got one." And I wasn't stamped in, I was asleep in the bus. And they didn't believe me. And they sort of slapped handcuffs on me and marched me off to this cell with a noose hanging off the ceiling. And they're pointing at it meaningfully. And I'm thinking, oh shit, you know. And then and I said, "What, you know?" I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Death problem." I said, "Death problem?" And then I got the idea that I might not actually be getting out of that cell, or being marked off. I thought, it can't be serious. So anyway, I got down and started doing the Buddhist chanting very intensely for about 2 or 3 hours, it must have been. My knees were really hurting. And then this other bus turned up and somebody stepped out. I recognised her shoes. And I shouted across her, Rosalind or whatever, I said, Rosalind. And she sort of came over and said, "What are you doing here, Frank?" I said, "Well, I think I've got a death penalty." She said, "What for?" And I said, "Steve one of the little jokes was to not get me stamped out of the country. So I'm sitting here with no stamped in passport. So she identified me and got me out. And she said, Frank, you're really lucky I wasn't wearing sandals that day, because I would have recognised her. Yeah, so that's like a crazy trip.
Right, now we mustn't forget your books about Ginger the cat, which I should explain are as much appreciated by adults as children.
Right, Ginger. Yeah. I've had a post-birthday card saying that Ginger's my alter ego. He's a cat. When I was a kid, my favourite book was The Wind in the Willows. I even wrote a sequel to it called Toad's Dilemma when I was about 10, which I might put on Kindle at some point. I'm working on that at the moment, or how I came to write that. I really like the character of Toad. He was everything I wasn't. He was a very loud, but vainglorious, bombastic, scheming, crafty. Yes, Sparky, back again. And here he is again. And so he came into being when we imagined what happened is this little fella had not been found. I've been lost for 3 days. And it was the first fictional character I ever wrote. So I was very, very sort of, where's Sparky? See me. Yeah, and he's a Cockney geezer cat. Like an alley cat, and he got a gold medal on the HarperCollins Orthonomy site. He had a huge website of his own. He had 25,000 hits just on Ginger. You can't go wrong with cats, basically. Half the internet's full of cats. Yeah, Ginger was probably my finest creation. I think I've had 2 books out on Ginger. I'm putting a 3rd one out next year, but the missing thing is that all the Ginger books have real people in them. My wife are in it. There's a carpet guy called Lee. He's real as well. All his conversations are real. I mean, basically, Graham, I go around taping everybody with a Walkman. I mean, even the people, Jehovah's Witnesses, the people who deliver the post. I've got this Walkman in my hand the whole time, so I record an awful lot of stuff. A bit like you, I guess, you know. Yeah, so we have Ginger Against the Cat, Ginger the Buddha Cat, and the new one's going to be called Ginger Has Kittens. I know. I'm just trying to decide where to send them, like to India or Thailand or... Yes, Sparky. I think Sparky's hungry. Sparky used to be a very small little kitten with huge bat ears, and he's developed into a large black and white football. He fattens out in the winter. He's now 7 years old, and he's very hungry. Aren't you? He likes prawns. Yeah. Yeah, from Asdown, they've got to be the North Atlantic prawns, nothing else will do.
So only North Atlantic prawns for Sparky. Well, Frank, that's all we have time for. I'd like to say thank you very much for chatting to us on eBook Showtime, and I look forward to doing this again with you in the future.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. Enjoyed it a lot.